Hello, today's episode is going to be dedicated to the planning phase of an internal investigation following the whistleblower's tip, as we still follow up on the implementation in Poland of the Whistleblowers Protection Act. And this set of episodes is actually aimed at introducing the methodology of handling the whistleblowers report based on the experience and research of the author of the book, being myself. Today about the planning, and in this respect, I would like to draw your attention to the four elements that are actually crucial in respect of designing a response to the whistleblower's tip, where our determination, we determined that the whistleblower's tip requires actually our attention. So we believe that the alleged wrongdoing is justified, and that there is a risk that the actual action took place, which may obviously bring the adverse consequences to the legal entity that received this internal tip. And obviously it's also better to react upon the internal tip than allow for uncontrolled external report of the wrongdoing to the law enforcement, because actually, as said in the previous episode, this gives us less time to prepare for actually any potential defense required in respect to the reported wrongdoing, as we must bear in mind, or we should at least bear in mind, that in many jurisdictions, including Poland, there is legislation concerning corporate criminal liability. And this criminal compliance is very important from the perspective of legal entities, as very often, like in the UK or in the US, sometimes companies are made liable for the wrongdoing of its employees or their employees or subcontractors, and those individuals who committed the actual crimes are prosecuted separately, or even not prosecuted at all, separately from the legal entities that benefited from their actions. And this is very dangerous for legal entities to actually ignore any reported wrongdoing. When, therefore, we receive a tip from a whistleblower and we believe that the alleged wrongdoing is actually grounded, we need to take action. And before we take action, we need to plan for the actual activities that will take place in order to verify in the course of internal investigation that the actual alleged wrongdoing took place, or otherwise that it had not been confirmed by evidence. In my opinion, there are four key elements for the successful internal investigation, and those four elements need to be taken into consideration at the planning phase. Those elements are people, obviously, so we need to have the right people to take action. Those people need to have the competence, expertise to run the external investigation. For instance, they need to understand how to proceed with interviewing suspects or witnesses, or how to interact with expert witnesses or specialists or experts who might be needed in the course of the internal investigation if any specific knowledge is required and we don't have this competence on board. So expertise of people running the investigation is crucial. If we don't have experienced and trained people, then it might be that the people tasked with the investigation may fail, or or may make mistakes that may be costly for the organization. For instance, they may break some laws in the course of the internal investigation, like for instance access some personal data repositories that they are not allowed to access because they are not part of the corporate information for which the company has the right to access. And obviously, in this respect, we need to, as initial phase of the investigation, check what, in fact, we can access, what kind of communication has been spread across the organization in respect to the expected use of company's resources. So, for instance, how the computers provided to employees could have been used, what information had been provided about the monitoring of the communication with use of the computer, or communication on corporate mobile phones, or what were the rules of engagement in respect to corporate vehicles, for instance, business vehicles, and for instance, the situation of regulations regarding internal regulation regarding the fueling of business vehicles. These are all the elements that need to be taken into consideration, but obviously if the right people are engaged, they will remember to take this preparatory action before actually they start the actual phase of evidence collection. Secondly, we need to determine the data repositories where the evidence may be held. And basically this is the top left server, picture of the server and the cloud, because a lot of information is at the moment kept in electronic form. Moreover, the information is kept on the cloud solutions, on the platforms, access to these repositories requires a skill, though, so we need to engage the right people, like computer forensics people, to support us with accessing these repositories, preserving the evidence, or discovering the evidence sometimes, because in some instances we don't know exactly what we need, but we know where to look, and the extraction of the relevant data sets may be crucial from the time perspective, because we have, according to the European and the Polish Whistleblowers Protection Act, 3 months to provide the whistleblower feedback and in order to determine what we are going to feedback to this. To feedback to this whistleblower, we need to investigate internally the subject matter of the allegations, obviously. So the time is element number 3. But understanding the places where the information is kept, stored, is also very crucial. So data repositories, mapping the places where we can look for evidence is very, very important as well. And number 4 is the process. So what will be the sequence of events? What is gonna be our approach towards evidence collection? So for instance, what will be the sequence of meetings? In my opinion, and this is the good practice, we start with meeting with witnesses. We need to understand who are the direct witnesses, who are the indirect witnesses, what is the relation of or links between the witnesses and the potential suspects in the case. Do we know who are the suspects? And before we meet the suspects, we need to plan for understanding or the surrounding information or the background information before we actually leap and meet the suspect. Because if we are not prepared, the old saying defends. So planning, failing to plan is planning to fail. So it's very important to not to ignore the planning phase of the investigation. And in this respect, in the book, I propose the following a sequence. First, we need to understand the subject matter of an allegation. So what kind of wrongdoing had been reported? And this is done usually in this triage phase, where we need to understand what had been reported in order to determine what we need to do with this information. But sometimes there may be some additional gaps in our understanding of the matter, and therefore we may need to actually add some pieces of information in the course of the planning phase. We may need to consult, for instance, with some people to better understand the process, because if we understand the business process, we can better plan for collecting the evidence surrounding some instances or pieces of this process that are subject to the whistleblower's report. Obviously, while preparing to collect evidence, we need to understand what we need to collect. So we need to work on the theories about the modus operandi of the potential perpetrator of the wrongdoing. So we need the theories about the possible cause of the alleged effect. So the cause of the outcome reported by the whistleblower. Sometimes the outcome may result from entirely legal action, and we cannot ignore this fact. Therefore, the good practice is to prepare more than one theory explaining the subject matter of the whistleblower's report. And once we have the theory, we can plan for evidence required to verify this working theory. And obviously the plan will be changing in the course of action, but we need to have this initial plan not to get lost in translation. And once we know what we need to establish and how we would like to verify the theories designed for our internal investigation, we need to plan for the sequence of action. So how we are going to collect the information, where, what will be the timeline of collection, of data analysis, of document reading, when we are going to start meeting people, whom we are going to meet first. For instance, we might decide that first we need to meet with people who will help us to understand the business process, and then meet with the witnesses to describe to us what wrong has happened in this business process. But without understanding first the background of the business process, it might be very difficult to actively listen to the witness and understand what is the actual substance of the allegation about the wrongdoing. And then we cannot forget about the preparatory arrangement. So for instance, where are we going to meet people? Where are we going to preserve and collect electronic evidence? It cannot be done in a way if we don't want everyone in the office know that we collect evidence or meet people. We cannot meet in the glass room in the middle of open space. So we need to plan for that. We need to plan for the communication to people who are managers of our witnesses, so that they are prepared that these people may disappear for some time for a meeting with us. Or we need to arrange some story that could actually enable us to meet the right people in the right place at the right time. And once all of that is ready, we can start our evidence collection phase. And evidence collection and the process of seeking the truth is gonna be the subject of the next episode. So thank you very much for bearing with me. Thank you very much for watching this material. Have a great morning, evening, or afternoon, depending on when you had time to watch it. And see you in the next episode. Have a great time. Thank you and goodbye.